Following the release of Mario Party Superstars, my faith in the franchise was the highest it's ever been. After a decade of flops and an incessant desire to reinvent an unbroken wheel, NDQ finally released a game worthy of the title. And with it exclusively featuring content from the golden era of Mario Party, it gave me hope that the studio finally understood what made a good Mario Party. Super Mario Party Jamboree is the exam to see if they actually know what they're doing. They reverse engineered an amazing party game from the scraps of a 20-year-old chassis. Now it's their job to use that experience to show the world, hey, we can make a great new Mario Party. And when the game was first revealed, I had no doubt that they would. The Jamboree trailer showed the best of both worlds, the board design and ability to use the Pro Controller from Superstars, and the bonus modes and extras from SMP1 and, oddly enough, Star Rush, their underrated gem. Jamboree was shaping up to be one of the best Mario parties. So now that it's out, how did they do? Let's kick things off with the story mode, since it canonically takes place before the actual Mario Party. And if there's one thing you can count on, it's the story mode being underwhelming. And Jamboree surprised me, not by being good, but by reviving the gameplay from Mario Party Advance. Instead of playing on each board with the goal being to win, every map is an open world you can freely run around and talk to NPCs to complete quests and play minigames. Like Advance, these are primarily fetch quests with a quiz in the mix. You don't have to clear these one at a time, and unlike Advance, you won't be getting interrupted every minute to roll a die or play a random minigame. Koopa Kid's not going to block your path or warp you across the world. You can just get shit done. They streamlined the whole process for the sake of efficiency. However, what Jamboree lacks is Advance's witty writing and colorful cast of characters. Jamboree is squeaky clean in that regard. The characters are generic, the dialogue is boring. It's the epitome of modern Mario in a time where the series is trying to break that suppressing mold. And I'm sad to say that despite fixing so many of Advance's problems, I'd rather play that game than do this story mode again. We do get some boss minigames though, which are pretty okay. I personally never liked these, so leaving them in the story mode is the right approach for me. But there's a really rare chance they'll appear as battle minigames, so I think this is the best way they've been handled. So I said Jamboree's boards look like they follow the route of Superstars, and that is half true. Having the Super Mario Party moniker, the game's biggest gimmick, allies are back. Allies were one of the most unbalanced mechanics in the series, where having an ally was a near guaranteed win. My biggest fear for Jamboree was that allies would be just as over-centralized into the meta and ruin the entire game. But luckily for us, they have been completely overhauled. Now called Jamboree Buddies, these characters no longer come from an ally space, but will instead appear on the board at random points of the game. Once somebody passes them, a minigame is played to determine who can claim them on their taxes as a dependent, and the minigames here are special to each character. Mario and Peach are minigame gauntlets, Luigi has a puzzle-filled mansion, you'll ride Yoshi's through an obstacle course and play Waluigi Pinball, jam out to Donkey Konga when DK's around, and the boys will love waggling to Rosalina. These are some of Jamboree's best minigames and a highlight to the game. My only concern is that these minigames are very lengthy, usually surpassing 3 minutes each, and on a 20-turn board you can expect 3 to appear, stretching how long it takes to finish a game. Once you get a buddy though, that's where the fun really begins. Every character is equipped with a special ability you can use on your turn, like getting extra rolls with Mario, Waluigi steals coins, Yoshi copies items, DK has warp pipe barrels, Bowser Jr. sets traps, Daisy gets homie discounts at shops. This is the Fire Emblem Engage of Mario Party, and the benefits don't stop there. When you land on a space, it's like landing on it twice. 2 blue spaces, 2 lucky spaces, 2 red, 2 Bowser. When you visit a shop, you can buy 2 items, booze used twice, 2 stars can be bought. Buddies are as busted as ever, yet they feel completely fair this time, especially since they can be kidnapped by passing one on the board. Turns out Yoshi is a treacherous scumbag who ain't loyal for shit, so the door's open for a lot of options and a lot of counterplay. When 2 players are near each other, it's not uncommon for them to forward lateral buddies every turn, so no one gets to use them. I genuinely think this is one of the best gimmicks to ever appear in Mario Party. In the handful of boards I've played, there's already been a couple times where I've schemed how to maximize the abilities of a buddy to take control of the game, and other times where someone I didn't want took possession and I had to readjust my strategy to stop them from going nuclear. They enrich the Mario Party experience and come with some fantastic minigames that I'm never annoyed to play. Man, if they found a way to combine this with Mario Party 3's duel mode, I'd be burying this in my pyramid when I die. So what other changes have we got? Items were massively upgraded. I thought Superstars was pretty solid in this regard, giving all the essentials, but nothing super nutty. But Jamboree's like, nah, we're ordering 10 Little Caesars Crazy Breads. Hexes are back, warp items are the meta, boards have exclusive items again. This is a sandbox Mario Party. Hexes have returned in the form of traps. Early on you'll have access to ones that steal 10 coins, but in late game they can steal half of someone's money or even one of their stars. And while these are very situational, since there's only a 10% chance someone will land on one, when you buy one of these at the shop, you get a second one for free. Warping. Oh my god, man. This is my meta. You got the warp box that sends you to a random player's location. The swap mirror switches your locations. The super mirror lets you pick who you trade with. The warp pipe puts you anywhere on the map at random. And the shop block warps you to any random store. There is no shortage of opportunities for you to get back in the game. The warp pipe has already become my favorite of the bunch. If I'm 30 spaces from the star, I'm piping this bitch. And as time has gone on, I'm realizing the shop block could be lethal. Slap one of these when you got yourself a buddy and buy 2 golden pipes. That's 4 stars in 2 turns if you've been saving your allowance. Cursed dice rebranded to creepy dice, and for generations I thought these were one of the worst items, but with Jamboree buddies in play, they kinda come in clutch. Some boards are even designed specifically for you to use them and sabotage your friends with. Cruel Mario Party is back. The Bowser phone is back. There are so many items available. To fit them all, they brought back Mario Party 3's 2 shops. We aren't beating that game's masterclass meta of items, but Jamboree is a renaissance of strategy that gives the game a gentry reputation. And it doesn't stop there, because a new set of rules were created. Pro rules. Ever played Mario Party and lost to some bullshit? This is the mode for you, and it is marginally good. These are special rules for players looking to dominate their foes with tactics and skill. Games last 12 turns here, which, considering how long a game takes, is an okay decision. A lot of random elements were removed, like chance time, hidden blocks, and luck minigames. Everyone votes for minigames like you're playing online in Mario Kart. Spaces are modified, like lucky spaces hand out 15 coins or double dice, and unlucky spaces give 7 of your coins to last place. Boo always steals 15 coins, Bowser always steals 1 star, stars can be wagered in duels, and on boards their spawns are marked, which allows players to predict where they'll appear. Item shops have limited inventories and will only sell 2 of a kind. At the start of a game, everyone gets a free item of their choice, and they'll learn what the bonus star is. These are some fun rules I'll definitely put into the rotation, but I wish we had these settings as customizable options. I like 20 turns and hidden blocks and chance time, but I also like the free items and luck minigame restriction. Jamboree is on the precipice of something the fan base has been begging for forever, and just knowing we're finally taking steps toward that direction after the dark era of Mario Party is a remarkable sight to behold. Let's get into those boards. Jamboree went guns blazing with 7 this time around, and 2 of those are retro maps. After Superstars was revealed, I made a tier list of what I thought the likelihood of the Nintendo 64 maps were of returning, and I'm still genuinely shocked that after 2 games, an Island Hopper hasn't appeared. But as we can see, my most likely picks made the cut this time, which are Mario Party 1's Mario's Rainbow Castle and Mario Party 2's Western Land. What can I say? When I'm wrong, I'm right. Mario's Rainbow Castle is identical to the original. Players follow a linear path that leads to a star. Buy it, and the next person to come has to speak to Bowser, who takes 20 coins. As a Mario Party 1 board, it's very simple, and that's good. There's 2 path splits that give players the option to speed up or slow down. One of them features Boo, and a couple more happening spaces were added to make the journey more suspenseful. The biggest new addition is the introduction of items. Like Peach's birthday cake and Superstars, adding items in a shop transforms how the board can be played. Warping items can fast pass you to the star or be eject buttons when you're approaching Bowser. Mushrooms and dice provide more opportunities to reach the end, and the creepy dice can slow down your opponents. On top of that, you got the buddies in play, and with a board so small and linear, it's a mad dash to bring them to the star, but they can be just as much of a nuisance since Bowser is twice as threatening. An exclusive item here spins a roulette that can switch the star and Bowser, and with the board only having 1 shop, each visitor changes out the inventory. This is an incredible remake. The items add so much value, and the buddies show off their depth, chance time's easy to land on, and the economy makes boosts super accessible. This is a board you won't know who will win until the very last second. Westernland, on the other hand, gets a bit of scrutiny. Let's start with the gimmick. Around the map are railroad tracks with 3 different stations. If you stop at one when the train's present, you can pay to randomly travel to another. You can also pay extra to go further around the map, which is an option you'll want to consider because anyone hit by the train has a funeral service at the start. Happening spaces on the board can move the train autonomously, and a new building was added to the north that sells tickets, so even when the train is at Station Square, you can still go to Mystic Ruins. Conveniently, this comes right after Westernland's famous Milk Bar, where players can have a hootenanny, but different this time around is that you can only party if you land on a happening space, and now they do blind dates. This will warp targeted players to that corner, but because it's a happening space now, it loses a lot of utility. Banks were also removed. I actually didn't notice because Jamboree has no banks, but these were originally placed at key door junctions to punish broke players, and their absence makes the board feel empty. Lastly, some paths were totally reworked. A new path to the south was added to reverse into the center, and the key door to the east was flipped to allow players to visit Boo a second time. Overall, I think this is a better version of Westernland. Famously, this map originally had 114 spaces, and Jamboree trimmed a lot of fat to make it a much more competitive experience. If we could have gotten the banks back and made Hootenanny open to walk-ins, oh yeah, I would have no problems. But as it is, I'll still happily play this board. Mega Wiggler's Tree Party is our first new map, and it's already one of my favorite beginner boards in the series. The map is a ring with a hole in the middle that a Mega Wiggler inhabits. On its back are spaces, and depending on which way it's facing, a shortcut is formed. To move him, a bell must be rung, either on the board or with the Wiggler bell item. Additionally, Wiggler takes anger management counseling and sometimes throws a fit after being woken up, which turns all its spaces red and maybe something else? I don't know. I've played this board twice and got him angry for a quarter of a turn, so it seems to be a pretty rare event. Besides that, there are Piranha Plant tools on the outside, and what makes these different from Thwomp and Womp tools is that they guard nothing. They're just freaky like that. Every time they bite someone, they'll take another coin. And last is a beehive that will give away some money. So I like this board because it's really small, and that proximity with other players allows a lot of interactions to occur with items and Jamboree buddies. Warp items keep the game moving at an accelerated pace, and with the star traps available to the right, there's potential for a very chaotic endgame. Wiggler in the center is also just a cherry on top. It's a fantastic shortcut, an escape route, you can move him around to mess with your opponents. Yeah, this is a pretty nice map. Goomba Lagoon, on the other hand, is my least favorite board in the game. Lately, Ending Cube's been taking island hoppers too literally because we got another island hopper. And what makes this one so terrible is that it wants to be Horrorland from Mario Party 2 so bad. Every 2 turns, the tide rises or lowers. On high tide, whatever island you're on, you're trapped at. And 2 of these are tiny and have nothing going on. So find yourself a volleyball because you've officially become a castaway. So let's break down these islands. South is Shipwreck Island, which is big and has a shop. If you want to leave, there's a few opportunities like the surrounding smaller islands, and the store sells a couple warp items. So if you're here, you can move around a bit. Additionally, there's a cup game that hands out items and a fishing game with coins. The other big island is Volcano Island. Its main event is that anyone passing the volcano will make it erupt golden Goombas or lava that reward or take coins when you pass them. There's only one exit, and the item shop's only warping item sends you to another player's spot. So it's not too uncommon for everyone to get stuck here for 90% of the game. And it's not like it's hard to escape, but because of the changing tide, if you weren't in the right place at the right time, that can be 4 wasted turns doing nothing but squashing Goombas. And that's my problem with this board. It feels like everything has the same weight as trying to activate King Boo on Horrorland, except instead of trying to line up all these variables to make a big power play, you're just trying to move forward. And what makes this worse is that the happening spaces that change the tide are all on the beach. So when it's high tide, It's fucking high tide. There is a shell item that manually moves the water, but if you aren't positioned to escape, it's a worthless memento. It all gives me flashbacks to Mario Party 4's orange pipes. And last of all, because it's easy to get landlocked, it's not too uncommon to miss out on a buddy. My first run on this map, nobody was able to get one because they always showed up on the wrong island. So why am I even playing this? Rainbow Galleria is unconventionally unique. It plays like a normal board, but the gimmick is in its shops. This is a mall, and it has 7 different stores to interact with, but most of them are only via happening space. It's like walking into a Gucci. They won't serve you unless you dress like an insecure looks maxer. This is actually a call out against my sister. So what are all these shops? On the first floor is the dollar store. Past this kiosk to buy an item for 1 coin. Second floor has a regular Koopa shop, but it also has a Boo Bell store. And on the third floor is the Loser's Lounge, a store that is only available to 4th place. The super duper sex shop that sells dice, gloves, and mirrors of the super variety. The gold store sells gold items, and the thrift store will steal one of your items. With all these shops available, you have a much more active meta. Lots of items will be in play, and the game can really shake up. And to follow with the mall motif, every 5 turns a flash sale occurs, which will slash all prices in half, including the star. Want to prevent that from happening, or just like stimulating the economy, a markup sticker is available that can force someone to double the price. And with all these purchases that can happen, a lottery event was made to reward players for being loyal customers by letting them draw balls to earn coins and golden pipes. Last here is the stamp card. Around the mall are stamp stations, and filling out the sheet and bringing it back to spawn will earn players 50 coins or 10 for every stamp. This is obviously stolen from Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, which unofficially confirms that won't be coming to Switch. And that kind of sucks, because low-key, that game is underrated and is way more suited for a portable console. But anyways, Rainbow Galleria is another great board. I was very hesitant how it would play by being a triple-decker map, but with the escalator and elevator placements, it's actually very easy to get around in a short amount of time. Roll Em Raceway is the board I was least excited to play, and I think it's my favorite of the bunch. This is a map that was crafted to perfection. So let's get the elephant out of the room. Everyone travels in cars. I know, PTSD is going crazy, and it adds nothing to the game. The map, simply put, is a circuit with 2 path splits. Even more boring than Wiggler's Tree Party, but the twist is that the star will only appear on one of the 2 paths to the north. If someone buys one, it moves to the other. And what makes this so great is that players have to commit to a side. Do you think your opponents will roll high enough to get the star and move it, or do you think you can pass them and take it for yourself? It forces a huge decision every lap, and I think this will be a great board for bluffing and not buying a star. And that's a tough decision because Boo is right behind. So even if you don't get a star, you can still get a star. And in that endgame, there will be a lot of coins in play, because every lap you finish rewards a higher coin bonus, making this a very dynamic board. Even more are the happening spaces. Land on one of these and get flung across the map. You'll move forward a bit, but at the cost of skipping Boo or the shop. The 2 path splits with the stars also have some happening spaces. The lower path has a similar pad that launches players back to start, and the higher path summons DMX to drive you off the road. And this right here is what makes this board so nasty. Bruiser sends you right here, right before Boo, but there are 3 happening spaces just behind this spot. And this is what the creepy dice was made for. This is its moment. You play one on the sad sap that lands here, and I assure you they are not touching Mario Party ever again, okay? Give a raise to whoever designed this because it is so fucking filthy for all the right reasons. Beyond that, we got the pit stop, a longer optional path where you can buy some dice for cheap, and behind it is a happening space that reverses all the launch pads and changes out the shop for 1 turn, so you'll probably never get to use it. And speaking of the shop, Koopa mostly sells dice or movement items to keep players zooming around the board, and the board exclusive item this time are turbo dice. 4 dice blocks, but the user skips every board event. so it comes with some powerful advantages, but just as many drawbacks. King Bowser's Keep is one of the most evil final boards in the series. In the center of the map is a ring that travels around Bowser, who every few turns swaps a few spaces out for his own. When these are landed on, any coins or stars he takes goes into a safe in the corner that has a 2-digit code players can attempt to unlock. The longer the game, the more Bowser spaces are in play, and the bigger the pot becomes, which may result in the winner being the first person to open up the safe. This is definitely a board that promotes skullduggery more than any other map, because Kamek shops are the most accessible, and with creepy dice and the exclusive Bowser byway lever that reverses the rotation of the loop, you can pretty easily trap your favorite person in here. Also around are Mecha Koopa gates that power the game and reward or take coins. This random cog here does the exact same thing. If you exit to the west, there's a split where one path has a Toad shop and the other has a longer bullet bill facing trail that leads to a Boo. 2 key doors exist that also visit Boo, and one of them technically visits both and has 3 chance time spaces, so if you can avoid Bowser, there's a lot of potential for mix-ups. This map also harkens to the Nintendo 64 era by throwing in a lot of pipes that lead back to start. Every lap, you gotta decide what's the most important. A crack at the safe, Boo, a visit to the good shop. Sometimes your decision's made for you with the constant threat of Bowser. I'm still on the fence if I think this is a good board. I like the ideas, but in motion, it's a drag. This is a map you'll want to play for 30 turns, but with all the Bowser shenanigans and Mecha Koopa fights, it gets old fast, and it's very possible that if the bank fills up and someone opens the safe, they just win, and everything afterwards is pointless. It also takes a while for the gimmick to get going, so everyone earns coins fast, and there's not very much you can do with them here. King Bowser's Keep kinda highlights all the small problems I have with Jamboree, and I'm not sure if I'll be eager to replay it. That said though, Super Mario Party Jamboree still has one of the best collections of boards in the series. 1 S tier, 4 bangers. There's no shortage of good maps to play on, and with pro rules, buddies, and the largest pool of items ever made, this is a Mario Party casuals and strategists will love.
Congratulations!
Here's the part where I tell you Jamboree has an equally amazing set of minigames, and that this is now the best Mario Party in the series. Except, I don't really like these minigames. I had high hopes that after Superstars released, ND Cube would discover the recipe for fun minigames, but instead, they reverted back to cooking the same slop they've been serving us for years. I am so sick of these game show trivia wannabe games where the winner is decided by who can click a button faster, and oh my god, they double down on boring last man standings. But this time around, all of them are no contact and have extra long timers, so they are begging you to fall asleep. What pisses me off most is that all the good ones use motion controls. I'm a simple man. I like using a controller that's ergonomically designed and fits in my hands, and the Joy-Con is not it. What made Superstars so great is that all of it could be played with a pro controller, and while Jamboree has the option to do the same, you miss out on a dozen minigames which are frankly some of the best. Tilt-A-Golf, Hammer at Home, Tiny Triathlon, Income Stream. I'm annoyed because motion minigames usually suck, and here they are being the reason to play the game. I have to use a Joy-Con because I want these to show up, and that makes it very difficult for me to want to revisit this game. Additionally, Jamboree added some retro minigames, and the selection here is bizarre. Stamp Out, Domination, 3-Throw, and Blame It on the Crane from Mario Party 4, the remaining good minigames that weren't included in Superstars, Diffuse or Lose from 5, and the camera's really bad, Granite Getaway, Snow Brawl, and Jump the Gun from 6. Who asked for these? Mario Party 1 got it right though. Treasure Divers and Platform Peril. 2 of my most wanted picks. I mean, Platform Peril is my favorite minigame of all time. But this is not that version. Amusingly, Mario's Buddy minigame introduces 5-player versions of retro games, except they're still 4-player. You get Leaf Leap, Bumper Balls, and Shy Guy Says, and Bumper Ball still sucks. You will always get a 5-way tie. I just can't help but feel disappointed by the retro games. I'm happy to get more of my favorites to return, but I'm left believing the developers are creatively bankrupt. It's concerning how few original ideas have me hooked. I mean, I enjoy the likes of Camera Ready, Snag the Flags, and Light Wave Battle, but calling a spade, these free-for-alls are weak. The 1 versus 3s are also pretty bad. Cookie Cutters rocks unless you get a square peg, and that's the only gem. 2 versus 2s are kinda okay. Rocky Rope Race reminds me of SpongeBob Lights Camera Pants. Prime Cut activated my repressed OCD, and Matchmakers makes me feel like a goldfish. Still, comparing the selection to every other Mario Party, not gonna lie, they're not very noteworthy. And then the duels... yeah, there's 5, and I don't like any of them. I'm sorry for sounding like a killjoy, but I'm just not vibing with these minigames. I think overall, they're some of the series' least enjoyable. Very few duds, but not a lot of stars, and it only makes the greatness of buddy games stand out more. For whatever reason, the buddy games are fantastic. Mario's 3-peat may waste your time with bumper balls, but a round of Leaf Leap and Shy Guy Says are too good to pass. Luigi Rescue Operation is a gauntlet full of puzzles. It's a little too long, but rounds always get tense. Peach's Day Off is the only real flop. The point distribution on this one's kinda wacky. Daisy's Field Day features a few different collecting games. Wario's Buzzer Beater is the trivia genre on crack. Waluigi's Pinball Arcade is 3 minutes of good old pinball. Yoshi's Mountain Race is the platforming game I would have loved to see in free-for-alls. Rosalina's Radical Race is a neat snowboarding game that doubles down on the strange ice motif Nintendo's randomly given her. DK's Congo Line revives the music mode from Star Rush, and Junior's Jauntlet is what every other last man standing in the game wishes it could be. I just don't understand why the long minigames are so much better than the rest. It certainly isn't their length, because that's the one thing I would change, but these show that putting their best foot forward, there's still fun minigames to be made. In fact, where I think their efforts shine the most are in Jamboree's bonus modes. Rhythm minigames make their grand return at the Rhythm Kitchen. Just like Super Mario Party, they're fun in short bursts. And if this becomes a mainstay, I'd love to see this mode get expanded with button controls, or just straight up copy Rhythm Heaven, because that franchise has no future. Koopathlon is the revival of Star Rush's Coinathlon, the best mode in that game, but the big difference here is the addition of online multiplayer, and 20 people can play. A clear cash-in on the Battle Royale craze, and this is the best way they could do it. There's slight tweaks like the required amount of coins and the severity of penalties, but the structure of 3 minigames for the Bowser encounter is completely unchanged. I'm actually quite impressed how well 20-player minigames work in this mode. Yeah, there's only 4, but it absolutely opens the floodgates for the future of the franchise. And look, I got first place, baby. This was actually an insane run where I started round 1 and last, never won the Bowser games, but stood on business, left it all in the court, and snuck in the lead by a second and a half. If I was Nicole, I would just... Bowser's Kaboom Squad is an experimental mode, like a tower defense, but not at all. This is an 8-player team game where you run around a city punching crates with bombs inside that you'll use to dislocate Bowser's jaw. Every 90 seconds, the mode is interrupted to start an 8-player co-op minigame, and these are really fun. Working with strangers that you can't communicate with is a very unique experience, and the selection of minigames available plays into that handicap superbly. Everything is all or nothing. Some minigames you can get by with anonymous dumbasses dragging down the team, but others require everyone to be on the same wavelength, and they add a little suspense as you watch your teammates figure things out. The better the group performs, the better rewards you can use to fight Bowser. But in all seriousness, the base game is the worst part of this mode. The more efficient your team is, the less minigames you can play. So for the first time in history, I prefer having shitty teammates in a video game. Paratroopa Flight School is just so weird, I gotta talk about it. This is a tech demo where you stretch out your arms with a Joy-Con in each hand and pretend to flap your wings. It's an idea I think we've all had at one point, and it's good to finally see it in practice. And then 1 minute in, you're like, wow, I have no upper body strength, and then never touch it again. Like, there's nothing to do, the map is pretty small, but I'd be concerned if they flushed it out anymore, because this is not something Mario Party needs to pursue. But that's all I've got to say about Super Mario Party Jamboree, the most high-value Mario Party based on the bang for your buck. There is so much content in this game, with its 7 boards, 112 minigames, 22 characters, and 1 survivor. These are numbers I don't think anyone expected to see. Game boards have one of my favorite metas in the series, and a fantastic gimmick in the Jamboree Buddies. Side modes that will keep me engaged for a while, and the return of online multiplayer. It's really easy to look at the positives and infer that this is the best Mario Party yet. but its negatives are really lethal. The minigame pool is one of the weakest in the series, and the only way to improve it is to subject yourself to a Joy-Con. Playing one board takes an absurd amount of time, 2.5 hours for a 20-turn game. When the recency bias wears off, I think it'll be very difficult for me not to return to Superstars when I want my Mario Party fill on Switch. It just has Jamboree beat in the areas that matter most, and will likely leave this game getting played only for the sake of variety. What I ultimately want to take away from this game is that the future of Mario Party is safe. Fendi Cube showed us what they learned remaking some of the best boards in the series by creating a near equally wonderful selection. Items and rules were made for a more competitive experience, and most exciting for me is the inclusion of 5-player, 8-player, and 20-player games. I hope this is a glimpse into the future of the franchise. Mario Party is growing and trying to perfect its formula, and for the first time in nearly 2 decades, I believe they can do it. Thanks for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a like to help the channel grow, and subscribe to get updates on my uploads as soon as they happen. But until then, I will see you all next time.